Welcome everybody to another episode of Ringsiders Wrestling. Today on the show, we're joined, as I'm sure you can see, by Tony Deppen himself. Tony, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I think you guys are about 5 o'clock over there now?
Yeah, 20 past 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sitting here watching PBS with my son because it's still like afternoon here. So
what time is it there? 12
o'clock, 12:18.
What kind of cartoon? What kind of cartoons are you trying to get your son into? Are you trying to get him into stuff that you're interested in, or as times moved on?
No, I'm not one of those nostalgic people where I have to like watch things that when I was younger. I just watch PBS a lot because that's what my son's been liking. So yeah. I just watch that and I'll let him develop his own little personality.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna get your son watching wrestling, but I guess it's just if he finds it interesting.
That's so tough because like obviously he will like it because it's something I do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like if it comes down to him wanting to wrestle, I'd be like, ooh.
Really?
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, it's kind of thing. Just let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'll come down to. If I'm like, okay, if you really want to do it, okay, but like I really don't want to wrestle.
I think as any parent would, I'm sure every parent's like that with the kids. They're like, yeah, I'm allowed to wrestle, but I know what wrestling's like, so I don't want you doing it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, it's been a big week for you, Tony. It's been a big year for you, really. We've just been talking about you coming to the UK, which we'll get to, but obviously within the last couple of weeks, you faced John Moxley, and that's absolutely huge. Reddit was going crazy for that match. So many people were watching that event as it happened, and I was reading the feedback, and it went down so well. What for you straight away? What was that like?
Well, it was really cool because I remember going to a tournament that's like I think it's in 2009. John Moxley was in it. And at the time, I wasn't a big fan of his. But my friend's never heard of him, but he's in deathmatch wrestling. He's like, who is this guy? It's like, John Moxley. I was like, give him a few years. I'm like, he's probably going to be the biggest star in wrestling. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Well, I was right, you know? And then fast forward 13 years later, I'm wrestling in a match with him, which was insane to me because, you know, it's somebody I grew up watching, basically.
Yeah.
And he's one of the top guys in wrestling currently. So the opportunity to learn from him was pretty surreal, and the match was honestly the most physical match I've ever had in my entire life. Hold on, let me take my glasses off because I have a nice black eye from it.
I think a match with John Moxley is enough for you to tell your son don't get into wrestling. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I was still feeling it for about 2 days afterwards, and then like I had to wrestle. Like I stayed in New York on Saturday, and then I went to bed like 3 a.m. So then I drove up to Providence for the GCW show the next day, which was about a 3.5-4 hour drive. And then as soon as I was done, I drove home, and that drive home for me was about 6 hours roughly. So I got home about like 3 a.m. A very exhausting weekend.
And then you're fighting Suzuki this weekend, which is just, just a casual.
Well, that was actually pre-recorded. That was back in May.
I was trying to keep the kayfabe there.
Yeah. I think everybody anybody's listening.
But no, how was wrestling the king of pancrase in a really physical match? Because I know your style is very physical. Every time I watch your matches, it's like I need an ice pack just watching it, not even involved in it. But what was it like wrestling a guy like that?
After wrestling, I realized why he's a legend, how good he is. Like I just let him take the reins. And I followed him, and he just knows what he's doing. And man, I hope when I'm his age that I can smoke people as hard as he smoked me, because that guy. Whew.
And people don't know this, but like I follow him on Instagram, and like when he came over to Ireland, he drinks Guinness. He loves his like custom socks.
Really?
He's just a normal guy. But when he gets in the ring, he just has this. It's like, is it with some wrestlers? Is it like they just have that switch where it's like. They're fighters anyway, but once they step in that ring, it's just that like switch that just flicks, and then it's just like go until the bell rings.
Yeah, normally before his matches, he's sitting back there just plowing through cigarettes left and right. He's a chain smoker, just power smoking, man, through every single cigarette that's near him.
Jeez, when I smoked, I couldn't even walk up the stairs. Like, I don't know how he does it.
I would like to know too.
But yeah, I mean, you've like Rian mentioned, Minoru Suzuki. He's no walk in the park. You've had John Moxley. You've faced some of the the toughest people in the business, and you've got the wounds to show it. But in your own right as well, I mean, you do bring that physicality. That is your style, whether it's been Ring of Honor, GCW. I was only saying to Jamie the other day, it's only a matter of time, surely, until we see Deppen on TV again soon. That's what I want. Yeah, that's from a fan point of view. For yourself, I mean, is that something you're looking to get again soon?
Obviously, yes, because being there means guaranteed money, which I know I look young, but I'm in my mid-30s. So like I kind of want to be able to.
I thought you was mid-20s.
Yeah, like I'm 34. I want to be able to secure more money and not have to be away as much because I'm constantly away, and
yeah,
I have 2 little ones at home. I'd like to be home with them a little bit more. So like the main goal would be to work for a company that is on TV.
Yeah.
Will that happen? I really don't know. If I were a fortune teller, I'd be a millionaire because, I'd be able to just not have to work and just play the lottery.
Yeah.
Sadly, that's not the case. And I'm networking with the right people. I know that much.
That's good.
It just, honestly, what it comes down to is the fact that if Tony Khan or Scott D'Amore from Impact sees something like, I need Tony for this. Like, that's what it comes down to. And if not, then, well, I knew I gave it everything I got. I've been doing this for 17 years.
Right.
I've given everything I possibly could give it.
Yeah. Like I said, you're well decorated in pro wrestling. You even fairly recently, Ring of Honor World Television Champion. So in Ring of Honor, I thought it was great that you were there because your style fit perfectly for Ring of Honor. Like, you could have gone into Ring of Honor from 2002, onwards and fit in at Ring of Honor. You just seem like
some of those matches just sound.
Yeah.
Some of those matches, just like you rattle off the names from the first Ring of Honor show, like you against Bryan Danielson. That's still a possibility, which just sounds crazy. I would love to see that match.
Matches throughout Ring of Honor history that could have been great. But
I know you hate the term dream matches, Callum. I know that's a particular wrestling ick of yours, but man, I'd love to see Danielson, or even in a rematch between you and Wheeler Yuta, just because Wheeler Yuta's just taken it up another level since he went to AEW. I'd love to see that match again as well.
Yeah.
I've known Wheeler since he kind of started. I've had quite a few matches against him, so I think the world of him. I always I remember when him and I were doing some Ring of Honor dates together. And he's like, "Oh, I want that big indie run." I was like, "Nah, dude." I was like, secure that bag. If someplace wants to give you money, take it. He goes, no. And lo and behold, now he's signed. And he's still getting the indie run because he's doing PWG, Battle Los Angeles and stuff. So, he's getting it. Baby girl, shut up. So, that would be fun to, and I've always had people I look like Daniel Bryan. I did have a fan try to really rag on me, like, you look just like him minus the talent, the ability to draw, blah blah blah, and all this stuff. I was like, man, you really got me there. And he's like, yeah, you're really mad. I was like, no, I don't take anything to heart that people say to me.
I like finding out interesting things about wrestlers when I do a bit of research for questions. And you can correct me if this is wrong, but I saw this somewhere. Did you have a ring name called Stokely Hathaway Jr.? And I just want to know the story of why you had to change it, and did it involve Mr. Stokely Hathaway himself?
No, see, it was for IWTV does a thing called the Masked Wrestler.
Oh yeah,
sort of like the Masked Singer, and we got to choose our own names. I was like, Jerry, who runs IWTV, is really close with Big Stoke, and I was just like, yo, I'm gonna be Stokely Hathaway Jr. He's like, are you serious? Like, yeah. And Stoke messaged me. He's like, dude, what the hell? He's like, why'd you do that? I was like, because it's funny. He's like, that's amazing, dude.
Oh no, that's amazing, because Stokely's stand-up comedy that he did was the best thing I've seen this year on Twitter, the one after he got released. And no, it just seems like he'd be the kind of guy who'd just take that joke very well. And no, that's a fantastic story.
Is he the he's in wrestling?
He's a really good person. I've only met Stoke maybe 2 times. And then the one time he wanted my phone number, so somebody gave me my phone number, and we just talk all the time. And after he went to AEW, I just I said, because I didn't know what he was gonna do, because he wouldn't even tell me. But then he showed up. I was like, "Oh, congrats, man!" And then he's just like, "Do you need me? Do you need anything from me? You need me to? I'll help you try to get somewhere if you need to." So like I'm gonna be doing. I can't say when but like I'll be doing more dark work eventually, and it's because I said to him, I was like, "Hey, can you reach out to somebody for me?" And he's like, "Yeah, no problem."
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, dark has been quite a launching pad really for a lot of independents in AEW. Like they don't have the NXT so to speak, but dark has really been that way for the independent talents to make money through the pandemic and get seen by a wider audience. So that must be. How do you feel as an independent talent? Do you feel like everyone's wanting that dark ticket right now?
I like what it does because it gives wrestlers the opportunity to make money and stuff like that. But also, some wrestlers need to really cut back on it too, because eventually you will devalue yourself being there every week, losing in a minute.
Fair point.
Like if you're there once a month and you get like a 5-6 minute match and you can actually showcase, yeah, that's different. But if you're there every week and you're getting squashed out, like I think it devalues you as a wrestler. And I don't care about the run-ins like when Wardlow would beat people up like that. I don't feel like that devalues you, but like
when your name's being used, like because when you're security guard, you're just generic security guard. But like there's so many stories of you like people saying like MJF as a security guard, but they don't have the names or they're not that person yet. But when someone's getting beaten in 2 minutes with a name, it's kind of like your brand's getting damaged.
When I did AEW in Baltimore, I was supposed to do the run-in with Wardlow as well, and that Baltimore's prime Ring of Honor territory. Like everyone knows me there, and I did my match. And I got in the back, and the extra coordinator pulled me to the side. He's like, "You're not going out there for that." I was like, "Oh, why?" He's just like, "We don't want to hurt you." He's like, "Everybody knows who you are out there."
Yeah, Wardlow's gonna get booed if he beats up Tony Deppen.
Yeah. I don't think that would be the case, but people would just be. They didn't want me to get hurt as in like my value, I guess, which. I understand that, but also in the same sense, I'm like, yo, I would have got an extra payday.
Yeah, fair point.
I saw on your cage match that you competed in a 72-man battle royal at spring break, and it included Shad Gaspard, which is a name that's kind of become synonymous with the wrestling world. I don't know if you had any interactions with him. Did you see him on the day, and how was booking a 72-man battle royal as a wrestler, and any experiences with Shad himself?
Well, the experience of that stuff is always terrible because I remember Necro Butcher was in the match at the time. Are you familiar with Necro Butcher?
Yeah, Samoa Joe,
yeah. Well, he was out there, and I wasn't in long, so like I knew I was like, listen, I'll be watching the show, whatever. And I'm getting ready to go out there. And everybody forgets to tell me that Necro's potatoing everybody out there, and he's supposed to be gone like 20 minutes ago. So I jump on the apron. I jump up on the apron, turn around, pose the crowd, and I feel like a cement brick hit me in the head. It was his fist, and I just plummeted to the ground. I was like, dude, and I couldn't sleep on my head for like a week straight, like the side of my head because it hurt so bad. Like that guy has fist of steel.
No.
And as far as interaction with Shad. No, but I do have a great Shad story because I wrestled him before. So, Jimmy Lloyd wrestled him and JTG on a no-ring show out in California. Mm-hmm. And like throughout the entire time, Shad they're just like throwing ideas out. I was like, "Yo, bro, there's no ring," and it's like, "Oh yeah, completely forgot about that." And then Shad's like, "Oh, Tony, I'm gonna press slam you, and then I'm gonna throw you into the crowd." I go, "What if nobody catches me?" And he's like, "They will." I was like, "Okay, cool." So he starts gorilla pressing me, and he gets ready to throw me towards fans. And I'm screaming, "Somebody catch me." And everybody parts like the Red Sea except for this one guy. He throws me at the guy. The guy's looking at me. And then right before I hit the guy ducks. And I just hit the ground.
Oh, no.
And then the one part, give me that, buddy. The one at the end, him and JTG came in the back, and they're like, like they dropped me on my head, and I go, oh motherfucker, and they come in the back, they're like, yo, did I hear you say the N-word out there? I go, no, what are you talking about? They're like, no, you said. I go, no, I would never say that. And I'm scared shitless. And these guys look at me, they're like, dude, we're just fucking with you. They're like, you should have seen your face. I was like, why would you fucking do that? You're on that's not even funny. They're huge individuals.
Yeah, even JTG's massive, isn't he?
I knew this. I knew your story had a happy ending because you wouldn't have told it, or you wouldn't be here if it didn't have a happy ending. And me and Callum, I could see Callum. Me and Callum both shit ourselves when you fucking.
I was just like, what the hell? But and then after that, like Shad would always like message me. Like when I had my son, he messaged me congratulating me. He was just a really good person, down to earth. Like it was sad, like what happened. That one, that he did pass away, and then two, that it was like because he's saving his son.
Yeah.
Yeah, as anyone would do, but yeah, no. Another person that you're closely linked with is Brody King. With Violence is, I believe, it's Violence is Forever.
Violence is Unlimited.
Violence is Unlimited. Sorry. With the pandemic, a lot of stuff kind of the best thing about wrestling is that a lot of stuff kind of you can do a lot of stuff now. You can go to different promotions, but sometimes with people getting signed left, right, and center, stuff doesn't get off the ground. How did you feel? Did you feel that there was a lot of stuff creatively that you could have gone forward in New Japan Strong and Done and Ring of Honor, or did you feel like we enjoyed it while it lasted and we might be able to revisit it down the road?
It was probably the most fun I've ever had wrestling, to be honest. Because me, Dickinson, Brody, and Homicide, we just spitballed things. We did things the way we wanted to do it. Sadly, Ring of Honor's demise. I heard there was some rumors about doing at New Japan, like 1 or 2 events with it, but nobody's really saying anything to me other than the match that I had with Minoru Suzuki. I thought that was originally going to be that date because somebody told me that, and then randomly they spurred it on me like, hey, it's you, Minoru Suzuki. I was like, okay. So, but it would be nice to see, like, because we were going to do so much more. Sadly, that wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. And Brody is somebody who I have a lot of respect for because he's always sticking his neck out for me. Like when I did Ring of Honor, he made sure, he's like, Tony, I'm gonna, like, I didn't get signed, but like during the time when they're still getting ready to sign people, he's like, I'm gonna make sure you get signed. He's like, because if not, I'll just tell him I'm not gonna renew my contract.
Yeah,
it's like simple as that.
Jamie, one of our co-hosts, loves Brody as well. Big music fan, so. Yeah. No, and Brody's doing some amazing things right now. I love the dynamic of him, Buddy, and Alistair Black, or Malachi Black, and Julia Hart. I think that's a great act, and I think you can definitely revisit that. I love the way in AEW and other promotions, say if you had a dark match against one of the guys from House of Black, they would definitely reference that because I love the little intricacies in wrestling. They wouldn't just forget the history, or it can be revisited down the line. That'd be really cool.
Mm. When it comes to something like immediate goals, I know it's quite a kayfabe question, but even as a wrestler, you must have the goals that you want to do. You came close to winning the GCW World Championship. Is that something that you're still wanting to take off your list? Is that something that you really want to do before you did sign anywhere?
I'd be honest, and I've never been a belt person.
Right.
I've never. I think I had like win a major title, like because I had a bucket list prior to anything happening, like many years ago, and I had to keep adding stuff after when I started like blowing up because I put things on my list that I never thought were going to be obtainable, like have somebody fly me to a show because like I'm from the middle of Pennsylvania and I'm 5'9". I'm not big, obviously, and when I first started wrestling, that's what wrestling wanted. So I was just like, well, I'm like, let me have like, it was like wrestle for CZW, like real small things, like make $100. And within like, it took me a few years to get through them, but like within a year or two of me getting the steam that I needed to get, I blew all those open.
Yeah.
So at one point I was like, win a major championship. A major championship could have been like Ring of Honor, which I won the Ring of Honor TV title.
Yeah.
As far as GCW, I don't know if I feel like if I won that belt, it would have been a really good pop the crowd, and then like maybe people wouldn't have cared as much. And I feel like that would, I don't know, maybe hurt me a little bit. I think people wanted to see me win it just because Moxley's had it for so long.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's sometimes more money in the chase than holding the championship?
Yeah, that's been a big thing we've seen in wrestling over the last year. It's kind of like you get invested in the chase more than you do the kind of. I'd say if we're talking kayfabe, like I think heels are better at holding titles and babyface are better at the chase. It just makes sense. It's just more you get invested a lot more. But I think the thing, the thing with Moxley being such a good champion is like whoever wins that is just going to get the biggest like pop or the biggest rub, if you like, of their life by winning that belt, because it's putting a legacy on that belt by holding it for so long.
Yeah, but then they need to hold themselves to a high standard like Moxley did. So that's another thing. Like it's a really double-edged sword at this point.
Yeah, it's almost like right now I thought, well, if it's not Deppen, I can't think of anybody who dethrones Moxley. And that's exciting, but then also you think, right, well, who is going to dethrone him? Like, I can't think of anyone right now. But it's interesting. I do. That's what I like about wrestling. It's unpredictable. So when you were growing up, I say growing up, coming up through wrestling, did you watch the early Ring of Honor stuff when it started, or PWG? And if so, did you take any influence from that for your style or anything?
So Ring of Honor, I'll be honest, like when I had to do the pure tournament, they asked me to like talk about like me watching Ring of Honor growing up, and I was not a Ring of Honor fan, so I basically lied. Like I knew of wrestlers, and there's some matches that I did watch that I enjoyed.
Yeah,
but I was a more CZW guy.
Okay.
Like I watched a lot of death matches. I love death matches, and I discovered PWG as well. So like I would be more like PWG, CZW type situation, IW Mid South, Shikara. Ring of Honor just didn't do anything for me. So like, but I was really big in independent wrestling from. I started like 2001.
That's the year I was born. That's great. That's crazy.
I was 13.
That's fucking crazy, man. I that's just wow.
I'm a year younger than you, Tony, and I remember when I was getting into wrestling, it was around the same time, independent wrestling anyway. And I remember my mind being blown by like CZW and seeing this whole new world outside of like WWE and WCW. And for you, when you first found independent wrestling, what was it like for you? Because I didn't even know these promotions existed.
I was like really getting kind of out of wrestling at the time because I was just like I wasn't enjoying WWE's product. Like ECW just folded up, WCW just folded up.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, the current WWE product's kind of boring, Like I couldn't tell you a damn thing that happened in WWE between like 2002 and 2006 or 7.
Right.
Because it just did not interest me. And then my friends like, oh, you have to watch, like Big Japan Wrestling or CZW. I was like, well, what's that? So I ended up watching that with him and instantly got hooked just watching. Like, yo, this is insane. And I remember like judging the basis of how good of a match was on how big a bump was in the match. Like, who had the biggest bump in the show? Like, if you didn't have a big bump in your match, I'm like, it wasn't that good. Obviously, I could go back and rewatch some of those matches. Like, yo, some of the matches were terrible, and the matches that I deemed terrible were actually really good.
I remember back in the day, I had a period of time where when I discovered independent wrestling, I became the most unbearable smark in the world. I thought I knew everything about wrestling. And I think everyone does it, but I definitely did. I remember having this argument about why Brian Kendrick, he was a good wrestler, but I had an argument about why he's a better professional wrestler than The Rock. And looking back, I'm like, I didn't know anything about wrestling. I still don't really. I think everyone goes through that period of like thinking to know everything about wrestling or being mistaken on what good wrestling is. But for you now you've matured and you've been in the ring, what for you makes good professional wrestling?
Sorry about that. Hold on, I'd take a glass from my son. Okay, what was that? Sorry about what was that question?
Now you've actually experienced wrestling firsthand, being in the ring, seeing it from a fan point of view and a wrestler. What for you has changed for like what makes good wrestling? What for you is good wrestling?
Well, I've changed my opinion on like John Cena, for example. Like that dude was putting out bangers in like early 2000s and mid 2000s still. Like he was great. So like I was like, oh yeah, John Cena's terrible.
Yeah.
That type of person. Like I always knew like The Rock was a good sports entertainer, and so was Stone Cold. But like I didn't really start enjoying Bryan Danielson until my later years. Enjoy like stuff like that, like a lot of the technical side of things. Like, and I feel like WWE really helped him develop a personality when he was there to really complement his style.
Yeah.
So like I started just, I guess, just appreciating the form more than anything at that point. Like as I got older, got into wrestling longer. It used to be I didn't care, and like all the coolest spots and the coolest moves made everything. Now I'm just like, yo, that spot was cool and all, but it was stupid.
It's crazy how, like you mentioned John Cena. Back in the day, people were chanting Cena sucks every chance they got. But I feel like now we're really starting to realize how good he actually is. And, he's not as bad as people thought he was. I feel like there's a huge void in WWE. Now he's part time.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
saw the reaction to him coming back this week. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like him and Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania was fantastic. Him and Shawn Michaels, I think they did that Iron Man match the night after WrestleMania on Raw was fantastic. Him versus CM Punk for Money in the Bank was probably one of the best fucking matches like in the past like 15 years, in my opinion. Him versus RVD One Night Stand, and like the list just goes on of all the great matches he's had.
him versus Punk on Raw was probably one of the best Raw matches as well. When they had that match on Raw, when Punk hit the pile driver and the internet probably went mad. I don't know what Twitter was like back in 2010, but first pile driver in WWE in like 10 years. People went, that wasn't the Undertaker, and people went crazy. Yeah. But no, no, the another person that I saw came up in your past on cage match is Ace Austin, and obviously he's doing his thing right now, and he had that big angle over in New Japan heading into Forbidden Door. What are your experience with him, and what did you enjoy seeing him joining the Bullet Club and kind of spreading his wings in that and seeing a lot of your friends in that Best of the Super Juniors? And would you like to dip your toe in that tournament in the future?
Yeah, Ace. I grew up. I'm way older than Ace, but I was around when he first started because he's from my area. So, I would see him work on the smallest shows in front of nobody, and like he'd still give it his all. Like he would still bust his butt no matter what. So it was really cool to see him finally get, the credit he deserves, because he's been an impact for the past like gazillion years, and it seems like they just keep floating him around. And it was really cool to be like, oh well, like I didn't start with the kid, but like I was around him when he started, and to see him evolve into that is awesome. So I'm super proud of him, super happy for him. I hope it leads to bigger and better things for him. Like I don't know how much bigger you can get, and compared to being a Super Jays, like that's definitely a goal of mine. That is for sure. Like I would love to be in the Super Jays and be able to be like, I'd be in a tournament that had some of the greatest wrestlers ever.
Yeah, it really is one of the most prestigious tournaments currently. Like every year, it's probably the only tournament, that and the G1, that I look forward to. And Bowler, of course. Bowler is one of the best. But yeah, that would be amazing to see.
Yeah, well, some of the matches just like what would you have to change anything in your preparation for matches or the way you approach matches with a tournament as opposed to working like a match every like 3 matches a weekend or whatever? But I'm sure your schedule is heavy enough. But working a tournament and working a match every couple of days in a different location in a big country, how would you approach mentally and physically a tournament like that?
Pacing myself, that's for sure.
Yeah,
because tournaments are a grind, especially like you have one match and then like 20 minutes later you have another match. So you're just like, okay, you can't kill yourself in that. Well, you could kill yourself in that first one and go again, but I can't do that at 34. Like I could kill myself and give myself like a day rest, but the whole 20-minute rest doesn't really work well for me.
No, I can imagine it doesn't. But Before we do run out of time, Tony, because we've got 5-minute warning now on Zoom, just want to say, first of all, thanks for coming on. Been a big fan of yours for a long time, we all have. And it's a pleasure to speak with you. But is there anything you want to promote? Any upcoming shows? Anything we should know about?
What am I doing? I'm doing a full week of GCW next week. That's going to be very tiring. It's like we're starting Tuesday and I'll end up resting till Monday. So that will not be enjoyable.
And watch GCW. Yeah. Suzuki slapping the shit out of you on Saturday as well.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm going back to the United Kingdom, but I can't say when yet. I'm actually doing Ireland as well.
Awesome.
Nice.
So, but I can't say it yet because they haven't announced it yet.
Well, we'll keep checking your Twitter because I'm sure we'll come check that out. The UK is only small, so getting to any show is pretty easy.
Yeah.
It would be good to see you live. You're someone that I would like to see live.
I was supposed to do Europe for an entire month before the pandemic shut everything down. So
right. Well, fingers crossed you get to do it this time.
Well, I know I should be there, unless my plane crashes when I'm on it.
Right.
Because everything's been confirmed.
You're all right. Yeah, that'll be good though. But hopefully we'll get you on again down the line and catch up when you've had your UK tour, see what that was like. But until then, obviously, stay safe and we'll see you on GCW.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Tony.